What's up, fellow educators? Happy Teacher Appreciation Week. We are excited to be with you tonight if you're joining us live, and hello to those of you joining us on demand. To get us started, please go to the group chat and answer the following. What is the best teacher appreciation gift you've ever received? What is the funniest teacher appreciation gift you've ever received? Please submit your responses in the chat now.
Okay, it's time for us to get started. You can answer those questions directly in the teacher appreciation, right in the chat box. Now, here's the thing. That was completely AI generated. That was a copy of me using a copy of my voice that I didn't even speak that live. I just typed it and I had trained it on my voice. And I also trained it on, myself. I think that there are some quirks that I'm like, I don't really do this when I'm talking, but I guess maybe I do. So what do you think? What do you think about that?
I was tricked because we were chatting before and you had a red shirt on. And then we went off camera and you said something funny was going to happen. And if you would have, now that that one little thing you mentioned about how your body mannerisms are a little different, but I wouldn't have noticed that if you hadn't called it out because of the way, I think it's something about, I don't know a lot about neuroscience or how the brain works, but I saw your face and then I just assumed that it was you. It's definitely trippy. It's trippy.
It's trippy. It's trippy. Okay, so one more thing. I'm going to show one more video. I'm doing the exact same video, but this time I'm doing it speaking Croatian. I don't know how to speak Croatian, by the way. I loved your face.
Što se radi, dragi edukatori? Sretan tjedan cijenjenja učitelja. Uzbuđeni smo što smo večeras s vama, ako ste s nama uživo. I pozdrav onima koji nas prate na zahtjev. Za početak, molimo idite u grupni čavrljanje i odgovorite na sljedeće. Koji je najbolji poklon za cijenjenje učitelja koji ste ikada primili? Koji je najsmiješniji poklon za zahvalu učitelju koji ste ikada dobili? Molimo, pošaljite svoje odgovore u čavrljanje sada.
I took a screenshot of me watching you because
So we're just jumping on in. Well, first of all, again, this is really me. I'm not AI. This is Kelly Booz.
I'm definitely not AI.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of, what we're doing. I put in the chat, in the group chat, seeing those videos. What do you think? Creepy or cool? And then I'm also just want to take a moment to see happy Teacher Appreciation Week. Happy Sari. Yeah. Happy week to you. Well, happy all days. Let's be clear.
Every week should be Teacher Appreciation Week.
Every week should be for real. But I'm loving seeing all of the presents that people get that they like.
Really? What presents? Sure.
I feel like maybe we could do this a poll. I feel like elementary school teachers probably get more presents than high school.
I have not gotten one present from my students.
Oh,
they told me it was on Google Classroom. They told me I could cross it out. I was like, no, I want to be reminded it's Teacher Appreciation Week. That's my present. I'm curious to see if anyone got more presents than me, though. I sure hope you did, because I got 0. So if you got 1, you got 1 more than me. A key ring. Wine? Maybe I shouldn't say that out loud. Well, that's nice. So, okay. I need my glasses, but Lizelle, I think I'm saying your name right, said gifts. Who gets gifts? Exactly. A school sweatshirt. Okay.
All right. I love this. Somebody got a cheap beach ball. It's the thought that counts. That was probably more on the funny side.
You know what? Our PTA gave us I was exhausted. I was half asleep, but the PTA did give us a spread of food on Monday morning. So I take it back. We did get gifts.
All right. So Sari, Beth, I will share the normal housekeeping video in just a second. It seems like we're getting a lot of people in the group chat, which is great. I still want to make sure that we're level setting so everyone knows how to engage with this platform. And I'll show that in a second. But here is the agenda for today. I already started off by showing the fun or creepy new tools in AI, and I want to talk about some, new things that you might be trying or that I'm trying. We'll do a really quick review of the lesson planning webinar we did 3 weeks ago. And then we're going to dive straight into doing some assessments and also showing how students could also use a tool that you've created to get some kind of earlier feedback on their papers. And then we're going to let you guys loose and try it on your own with the chatbot that I created today. So let me show that quick housekeeping video, and then we're going to dive right in. Keep going with that chat. And then for those of you, again, who joined us 3 weeks ago, you know that we love those little emojis. So keep giving us feedback. It just makes us feel happy. All right, here we go.
Yes.
Welcome to Share My Lesson webinars. Thank you for joining us. Before we begin, let's go over a few housekeeping tips. We'd love to create an interactive and engaging space. Please open the group chat widget. Tell us where you're from and why you chose this webinar today. This is also your place to interact with other participants and our presenters. Express your thoughts. Using the reactions widget, you can provide feedback about the presentation. Your feedback is invaluable to us and our presenting team. If you have questions for the presenters, use the Q&A widget to ask them. For technical support during a live session, we've got you covered. You can ask tech questions in the same widget. If your screen freezes or you lose audio, please refresh your browser. If you're in search of resources for this session, you can find them listed in the resource list widget. When the webinar concludes, please take a moment to rate and review this session. This helps Share My Lesson users find the best content and influences future webinars. You may be here for professional development credit. To qualify, watch for at least 35 minutes of the presentation and answer at least 2 poll questions. These will appear under the slide widget. At the end of the session, click on the certificate icon to download your certificate. From all of us on the AFT Share My Lesson team, thank you for joining us and enjoy the webinar.
Okay, so I'm pushing the very first poll question. That should be, we've changed it. Sometimes in the past, these poll questions would show directly within the slides where you'd see the PowerPoint slides, but this time it should just be popping up. So the question is, I used a tool in AI in the last couple of weeks, and if you've used a particular one, share which one you've been using and submit your response right now. So as we're waiting for folks to submit their responses, what have you been trying? I know you just got back from spring break, so I'm sure that you're like, hey, AI is not going to be part of my break that I've had, but have you tried anything out since the last time we connected?
If I'm being honest, no, because right now I'm in like AP prep mode. So I've just been like content, which I know in my head, but I'm going to start using it for Regents review, especially after the activity we did. We've been playing around with the rubrics for the AP US exam, and today I actually started thinking about how helpful it's going to be when I start doing US Regents review. So any New York City, New York State teachers in the house, I'm going to try to start using some of these AI tools and rubrics for grading student work and also helping them grade themselves, because this is a really new exam. So I'm learning the rubrics alongside them. This is the second year we've had it. So I'm going to definitely be using the tools we're using today as we start doing test prep. And I think it'll make it easier for me, because grading on your own, all those papers takes a long time.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, I've been trying out, you know me, I'm trying out lots of tools and learning as I go. And I made sure that we had some tools that we can share that is not, the pay to play, like the ChatGPT for this time. Since I know that, our educators, you guys are on a budget. I have my husband is a high school teacher. I get it.
So some of them are really expensive.
Yeah. So, a couple things that I've been doing that's actually been somewhat fun. I've been training a ChatGPT to be my personal assistant.
I need that. You need to help me with that at some point. Or your personal assistant needs to help me with that sometime.
I can show you how to do it. In fact, let's see, I'm putting up another poll question as we're waiting that should be popping up right now. Loved, because we're going to talk briefly about the lesson planning workshop that we did 3 weeks ago. That, you know, I attended the first AI Educator Brain webinar on creating lesson plans. You know, so what I did, I used ChatGPT for this. So this is my, you know, paid account. And so, but what I did was really train it on kind of like the different categories of the different balls that I'm holding. I actually named it like my ball holder, KCB's ball holder. Like, it's like I'm juggling all these things that I need to juggle. And so there's times where I just, you know, dictate to it like, okay, for share my lesson, remember to do all of these things. For e-learning, which is another tool, remember to do all of these things. For my home, remember to do all of these things. And when I wrap something up, I can take it off. And it's just been this ongoing tool, chat. The other thing that I used it for recently is to help me create kind of an exercise routine. So I basically said, you know, here's the parameters of, you know, I'm getting older, so I need to do some more strength training, and, you know, here's kind of my timing and stuff that I want to do. And so I've created that, and it's created a really great workout routine that I can kind of continue to feed into it.
I've heard a lot of people using it for that. I'm actually logging in. You just gave me an idea in terms of just like paper grading. Today, you know what, it's interesting, and this is like some real talk, because I'm about to finish my 22nd year. I'm curious, anyone in the chat has me beat. I bet they do. And I'm so used to what I do that every time, like, so when you just asked me if I used AI, I was like, I should have used it today, because I gave them, you know, a short answer question practice for the regents, and I was doing all the work, like, you know, reading through all their papers, and I could have just trained the AI with this very simple rubric. So I think it is just like a changing of mindset and realizing it's just another tool. Like, you know, Wikipedia was a brand new tool at one point, and we told everyone to stay away from it, right? I remember that was like the first time, and I was like, no, don't use it. And then a couple of years later, I'm like, well, actually, you can use it. Just don't, you know, use it as a jumping off point, right?
Look at all these teachers who are here 20 years, 25 years, 26 years, 35 years, 34 years.
Oh my God, let me see, 20? Wow, and you're all here with us tonight.
And you're all here learning about AI. That's awesome.
What?
See?
I honestly, every time I think I love teachers, and I'm not talking about myself, but like teachers, other teachers, I love them more. The fact that we have veteran teachers in here, and that's another misconception about our field.
9 years. That's amazing. I love it.
Like, the misconception is that, you know, after, you know, 10 years, teachers start phoning it in. This is proof right here that we don't. We always want to learn. We're lifetime learners. 27. Oh my God. 32. Wait, Mark Howard wins is that a typo? 46 years? Is that a typo, Mark? 46 years?
We had a teacher, and unfortunately he passed away in January of this year. He was a teacher in Alexandria City High School. He died at the age of 91 and taught that long in the classroom. It's just incredible. CBS News did a story on him. It was just awesome.
That's Paul is 40 years. Jody's been teaching since 1972. Oh my God. And the kids, I just have to say, the kids are so lucky to have the veteran teachers. They really are. All of you as teachers, but the teachers have been doing this for so long. You have a lifetime of experience and teaching experience. Wow. 36 years. Huh.
So I know Sari has to leave 10 minutes early, so I think we want to dive into it. But before we do that, since we're still on this like love fest for all of you guys, which will continue throughout the thing, I want to make sure that I highlight for you, Sari, before we leave and before everyone else leaves, our teacher appreciation giveaway sweepstakes this year.
Oh, I
saw
this.
How many people like run D.M.C, Darryl McDaniels? You can enter at sharemylesson.com/run D.M.C to win a chance for Darryl McDaniels to come visit your classroom, either before the end of the school year, which is that timing is getting pretty tight at this point, or sometime in the fall, we'll work that out. And then there's also $500 gift certificate through our Reading Opens the World literacy campaign through the First Book Marketplace. So let me show this amazing video. I got to film the video, and then somebody else made it way more fancy, of Darryl McDaniels. I filmed this when I was in California 3 weeks ago.
DJ run D.M.C. rocking without a band. We are the crew that can never be me. And when we're on the tape, we're fresh out the box. You can hear us.
Yo, what's up, yo? D.M.C. in the place to be. Walk this way, talk this way, to the sweepstakes with no delay. D.M.C.'s got books to play for your school on this day. Read this way, lead this way. Teachers, listen to what I say. Into now, win the fray. Books for kids, hip hop hooray! Share my lesson, it's a blast, quick, fast, make it last. Darryl's visit can't surpass. Books in their hand, we're gonna surpass. Rock.
This like this, pump your fist like this, yeah, pump your fist like this.
Okay.
That's so cool.
So how fun is that, right? I hope everybody here on this webinar enters for the chance to win the sweepstakes for Teacher Appreciation Week. We're going to actually keep this open through the end of May, so we've got some time. Doesn't have to just be this week. But I do have to show you one quick photo, and then we're going to dive into assessment. When I met Darryl, I apparently had zero chill. This is me with zero
You're
chill.
so cute. You're so cute. Oh my God. No, you look chill. You look happy.
I don't know. I'm very, very happy.
You look excited too.
Yeah. No, it was a lot of fun, and this is so great. And one funny thing about this, his little rap he did about Share My Lesson, I created that draft by feeding it into ChatGPT. I've created it by feeding some of his lyrics into ChatGPT, and then talked about like what we wanted to promote, and it spit that language out. Darryl made a few adjustments, on the spot, but I mean, like, that's just the power of this tool.
Yeah.
Crazy, right? All right, so let's dive into this. I want to hear, I want to hear on a scale of 1 to 5. There's a new poll question that has now popped up. On a scale of 1 to 5, how do you feel about using AI to help assess student work? Are you, and so we'll do this to start, and then we're going to kind of come back to a question like this at the very end. Resistant, I prefer non-traditional methods, not AI, open to discussion, but not ready to jump in. C, neutral, I'm okay with exploring AI options. 4, eager, I'm ready to try AI and see how it goes. Or 5, you're a trailblazer, let's lead the way in using AI for education. So please go ahead and submit your responses. And where would you fall on this scale, Sari?
I would fall into, I can't see the other, let me see. Oh, there it is. I would say I was neutral, and then when I met you, I became eager.
That's, yeah.
No,
yeah.
actually, but I'm eager, but I can see myself becoming a trailblazer once I get more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I think that's, yeah.
I can see that.
I
think we're all kind of,
yeah.
We're still figuring this out.
I was neutral in March, like right before we hung out at South by Southwest. And then when we talked, I got really excited. You know what? Then I was like, I'm going to be a trailblazer. And then I was like, oh, wait, I feel like that's going to take a lot of time and I have to get through the school year. I think this summer I'm going to play around with it a lot more. And then I can commit to being a trailblazer.
Yeah.
Is that a fair answer? I'm curious to see what others
that is
think.
a complete fair answer.
Okay,
so right? Yeah, let's dive into this. I am going to go and share my screen because one of the things I was doing with Sari in advance of this webinar tonight was using one of her rubrics for AP US History, and she gave me 4 essays that we can use to grade it. And I have been training this chatbot, and we're going to just talk through again. This is like last time, we're doing things live on the spot to see how it turned out. on this. And when I share my screen, Andy, who's our Share My Lesson guru, is also here. And Sari, I can't see the chat box. So whatever
Okay,
you
I'm
guys
looking
can
right
do
now.
to help with that.
So I'm seeing easier grade without. Okay, so someone who teaches first grade, it's easier to grade without AI since they can. I lost it. So the first grade teacher thinks it's easier to grade without AI. High school English would like to try it. She's getting Mary Beth Sullivan's getting resistance from parents, but would like to create an introduction for parents to teach them. Yeah. Does that mean, okay, Mark says, does that mean that the students need to be online with their work so that AI can grade? Well, yeah, it's going to have to be. So this is the thing. I've been having them handwrite most of their essays this year because the AP US exam is still on paper, but I believe it's going to be digital next year. And as a result, I'm going to have to, I prefer them writing it out because less likely to cheat. But yeah, it needs to be in a format to feed it into the AI. Right, Kelly?
So my husband was actually going to give, so I haven't tried this out. There are ways to do some handwriting analysis. My husband was going to give me one of his handwritten ones, but I asked him a little bit too late in the game. So I will try that out for a future one.
I have one that you can use as well. I can take some pictures for you.
Okay, great. I mean, we'll try it out. Okay, so what I have sharing on the screen right now for everyone to see is the rubric that you gave me.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about this rubric and how you use it?
Yeah. So basically, this is the rubric. Any AP teachers in here? I'm curious. Just give a shout out in the chat. This is the rubric that the AP, the College Board uses to grade one of the 2 big essays they write for the exam. And it's out of 7. And this is the long essay question one, right? So basically, I'm going to actually look at it a little better on my screen. But basically, they're looking for, this is honestly only, I'm not going to get too in the weeds because if you don't teach this class, you're going to be like, what are you talking about? But they need to have some kind of historical background. There's a thesis argument that's being assessed, and then like the evidence that they're using, right? And that's kind of the main thing they're looking for. And so with this rubric in particular, this is actually an updated rubric. So they have to have evidence and support for the argument. And then they also need to use, and this is the tricky part, they need to use one of the historical thinking skills, which are like compare, contrast, continuity and change, looking at cause and effect. And so, and actually, I'm sorry, this rubric's graded out of 6. I'm losing my mind, y'all. It's been a long week of prep. So the DBQs, I was just teaching the DBQ today, so it was in my mind. This one's out of 6, right? And the DBQ is out of 7. Like, it's just the points they're looking for. So that's how it's set up.
Super, super helpful. And then you gave me 4 essays. They have no student names on it.
No
but
names,
can you talk a little bit about the differences between these 4 essays?
So I think I gave you like 1 or 2 that were like in need of some work. And then I think I gave you 1 that was really great and 1 that was approaching really great, if my memory serves correct.
Okay. And so what I've been doing is working to, let's see if I can start this all over again. Well, not this one, sorry. Working to create a way for editing of the paper, and I've kind of played with the prompts quite a bit. In terms of what the prompts would look like for using it. So I'm going to go to the edit, because if you remember when we talked about this at the lesson, for those of you who went to the lesson plan, having a good prompt is one of the best, the key ways to get the assessment that you, or get the feedback that you need. Just going to ChatGPT and asking it a question. Sometimes you can get really quick answers. Like my daughter asked me a question of like, how many days of the year, or how many days would be like 600,000 seconds or 600,023 seconds? And I'm like, oh God, I'm not in the mind to do the math, but I asked ChatGPT and it like spit out a response really fast. But, in terms of, the chat is that you need to be working on setting up a good prompt for the students. So I was really kind of working through different prompts. So for this one, the nice thing is I sent an email before this went live to say, if you can create a free account on po.com, that's the one I'm using today. There are this is going to be stuff that we'll be using a little bit later. But the cool thing about po.com is that with just the free account, you can try out all sorts of different new AI chatbots without having to pay. So the one I'm showing you right now is subscriber access. I'll go back to a non-subscriber one to see it. But you can see that, if I'm not using a paid version, there's a lot of different ways. It's not ChatGPT. You can access ChatGPT 4 if you are paying for it, but there's all sorts of other things. I know people had mentioned that they're using Claude and, Llama. There's a lot of different options that are here. So I'm going to actually go to this one. This Claude Sonnet is the free version that's part of Po. And so what I did was, basically started to say, you're going to act as a teacher assistant who helps me grade students' papers and work for my for my AP US History class. You know how to evaluate the rubrics I provide and grade student work based on the rubric. Whenever I ask you to grade an essay, you will break your feedback into 3 categories. First, provide a list of the scores for each category, but do not provide feedback. And I put that first sentence, Sari, intentionally, so that way if you needed to do quick, I want to see the score, you've got it. And then second, list each category and then provide 1 to 2 sentences of feedback for each category with the score you provided in the first category. And third, you'll give 1 to 2 sentences on what could be improved in the paper and 1 to 2 sentences highlighting the paper's strength. And then I uploaded the rubric that you gave me.
Okay, perfect. I'm looking at the. So is this essay 1?
So let's go. This is just for the rubric. So let's go to the actual chat, and say, hey there. Oops. Can you assess this paper? And so I'm going to add the essay. I'm going to add essay 1.
Okay.
And let's see how it comes back. Now, again, you are the teacher for this one, Sari. So you always have to keep in mind to review it and see, does this make sense, right? Mm-hmm. As you go through it. So this is using the free version of this Claude version going through this. So I don't know if you can see this in my screen.
It's a little small for me, so
you should be able to make it bigger for you if you wanted to. There's in the media player at the top right, you can make that be the highlight of what you see.
Oh, I see now. Okay, great. Now I see. Okay.
So
it is actually using the rubric. Okay, interesting. For some reason, okay, so it's giving it. Oh, it did use the rubric correctly. It's giving 1 point for contextualization, 1 point for the thesis, 2 for the. So it's giving it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It gave it 6 out of 6. Oh no, that was the rubric. Okay.
And so when you see the Sari, one of the things I was just having this kind of a analogy in my head today when I was putting this together, because I did a lot of back and forth on these chats and setting this up. It's almost like, I don't know if you ever did that team building activity, or if anybody who's listening did that team building activity back in the day where you have a partner, one of you is blindfolded and the other person gives instructions, and the person blindfolded has a piece of paper and a pen, and the person who can see essentially is giving you guidance and directions of where to go. And the output in terms of the person blindfolded may not be exactly based on, the directions that you've received. And so, or I've done that activity where you're not blindfolded, you just can't, you can see your piece of paper and the pen, you just can't, see what the person is trying to give you directions to do. And I feel like it's very similar to creating a really good prompt within these AI chatbots, because, if this doesn't match exactly, your scoring, this would be a time for you to edit this and say, actually, this didn't really match how I would do it.
But you know what? Now that I'm looking at it, it does. It completely followed it. I don't know what I saw before, but it is 6 out of 6, and that's what I gave this test, this essay.
Okay, great. All right, so let's try it again with a different essay.
Okay.
Which one you want me to try?
Do you want to do? Let me look at the ones I sent you. Want to do essay? Let's see. I think it was essay. Let's do essay. All the kids did really well on this one, so I struggled finding variety. I think it was essay 4. Let's do essay 4. Let's do essay 4.
Okay. And I see the question about like getting permission. So Sari very intentionally did not have any student names or identification on that. And I think that that is a really key point.
Yes.
And again, as we're going through this, I want you guys to put in the chat, what do you think? Is this something that you feel comfortable with? What are kind of the questions that we need to be doing? And also the guardrails that we have to put on to make sure that we're protecting student work. Okay, so the new one just scored your essay 4.
Okay, let's see. I don't see. Oh, I see. 1, 2. Wait, it gave it. Okay. Huh. I'm looking at it. Yeah.
And again, this is a time where if you wanted to amend it, you can edit that chat. And, we're going to do a whole nother webinar, hopefully sometime this summer, on just like the prompting and what goes in the prompt. And we talked about that during our last session of like, how do you create good prompts? When I first started doing this, like I had a very basic prompt and realized that I had to give it more instructions in terms of how I want those structured.
And I intentionally, now that I'm remembering, I intentionally fed it. Well, I won't give it away yet. But this one also was an excellent paper. So for sharing purposes, can I say this or no? Well, I'm going to say it just because of the morale ethics issue. I intentionally, for our purposes, just used really good essays because for that reason, right? I didn't want to feed it. And also, this is anonymous. They have no idea who these kids are, where they're from, any of that.
Yeah.
But the permission slip, yeah, okay. That's a definitely great idea.
So I use the exact same. I'm just going to show you the example, and this is why I like the Poe. Again, you can try out and see how it compares and contrasts with a different chat. So I created the exact same bot using the exact same prompt. This time it is actually using GPT-4, which is, again, a subscriber access. So I'm going to go ahead and say, hey, can you assess this paper? And I'm going to add essay 4 one more time.
Okay. Looking at essay 4.
Yes, and again, I want to reiterate, when I look over this way, I'm looking at, I have 2 screens this time, so now I can actually see your chats. So that helps. So I'm looking at your chats to say, yes, you don't want to have any student identification.
No, there's nothing on this. So I was very mindful of that. I actually cut and pasted it and put it on separate docs from my personal account too, just in case. I don't know. I don't know how this stuff works, but I didn't do it for my Department of Education account.
Yeah. Mary Beth Sullivan posted it. So I had ChatGPT draft a parent permission slip explaining the purpose of uploading student writing. The parents who declined are just against anything AI, but most parents were on board.
That's good to know.
Yes, being transparent about how you use it, I think, is really key.
And also I think it's key for modeling for students, right? To show them the best practices of AI and like, I guess, showing best practices of dealing with the ethics around it. Yeah. Someone also Alan said, GPT-4 is worth the 20, and Alan's students downloaded GPT 3.5, which is free.
Yeah. And I will say Poe.com again has all of these free access to like GPT 3.5, Claude, Llama. It's adding more and more. But if you pay, it's actually cheaper than $20 a month. If you pay $16.50 or $16.95 a month, I mean, it's not that much cheaper, but it is still cheaper. You get access to all of the subscription versions through Poe. So you could use ChatGPT 4 through Poe.com because it's using all of these different tools within it.
So I'm looking at this grade, and it's out of 8. So it kind of went rogue and added a sophistication argument. It added an extra 2 points, which is interesting.
Yeah. And we talked about this before we went live today that, when I looked at your rubric here, it did seem a little bit confusing in terms of, what goes into this box versus this box. And so that could be, having to go back through the rubric itself. Maybe the formatting is not working and it's not, evaluating the rubric as well. So you do want to, again, it goes back to that analogy that I was using of doing the, somebody is, you are listening to the instructions of somebody telling you how to draw a tree, but you don't know that they're telling you to draw a tree.
Exactly.
And so you're having to go back and forth with this piece.
Yeah.
So I know we're going to be losing you in a little bit. I want to show you another thing that I was working on too.
Oh, cool.
So one of the things that I worked on, let me go.
This is really helpful though. I'm now back, I'm inspired to use it with what I just worked on today.
So what I did was take your rubric, and I'm going to show you the back end so you guys can see what I did. Edit the bot. Okay. And so what I did was I created a chatbot that your students, if they had a free account on Poe.com, they could access it without having to pay any money. And, this is, again, I was using the base bot of Claude Sonnet. You could use ChatGPT 3.5. You could try them out. You could try a variety of them out to see which one seems to give you the best option. But here was the prompt. Welcome AP US History students. About me as an expert AP US History teacher, my passion is helping you refine and improve your writing skills. How this works. Submit your draft. Please upload a copy of your draft essay. This allows me to review your work comprehensively. Feedback without scoring. I will not assign a score based on the rubric, nor will I rewrite the essay. Okay. Instead, my feedback will focus on constructive guidance to enhance your writing. Detailed suggestions. Based on the rubric categories, I will provide specific examples of how you can improve your essay. These suggestions aim to help you refine your arguments and strengthen your writing style. Positive note and a little fun. I will conclude each review with a positive comment about your work and a lighthearted joke related to your essay topic.
I love that.
And so I did that. And then again, I uploaded the rubric that you gave me here. And then, gave it some instructions to say, hi, I'm Mrs. Rosenberg's assistant. Let's take a look at a draft essay and see how you can improve it. Please start by uploading the essay. So if you gave students, Sari, the link to this, they could essentially take that time to kind of get an assessment or some initial feedback based on a draft essay before they're submitting it to you final, so they can work on, evaluating their writing skills.
That's
and again,
a genius
I
idea.
just was doing this based on what I think you might want, but you could completely edit this and create a prompt that makes more sense for your voice.
So can I use this now? This link, or wow, really?
Right.
And just add it to my Poe account. So how does that work? So now I have a Poe account. How do I, is this a little too in the weeds? Can you help us with that?
What I'm going to do, hold on a second. Let me share it with you. And so since you have a Poe account, I'm actually going to send it to you right now within chat. I'm sorry, it's within your chat. I will send it to everybody else as well.
See my chat.
And so you guys have it. And let me show you. Let's see. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can show a different browser. Okay. And now let me share this. Okay. All right, so what you're seeing right now is a free account that I've created within Poe. I'm not paying for anything with this. I'm just using a different Gmail account that I have of the like 5,000 Gmail accounts I feel like I have. And so here's the link that I've received. Now there is, because this is a free account, there is going to be some limits in terms of how many messages you can do in a day. But, you know, for a student trying to get general feedback on an essay, you know, how many, who knows? I mean, you might have some overachievers that want to submit lots of different versions, but if I wanted to submit just one, let's say I wanted to get feedback on essay number 2, I'm going to say, can I get feedback? What do your students call you?
Miss Rosenberg.
Hey, miss, right?
Yeah, pretty much, miss. New York teachers, I think you get it. Okay, I'm going to open this now.
All right, so here is the feedback that it's popping up.
Oh yeah, so I clicked on that link and it like already took it into mine. This is so cool.
And so again, you know, I tried to give it, you know, I didn't want this chat to like rewrite anything for them.
Yeah.
But based on essay 2, it's giving you feedback on, you know, looking at the different components.
Wait, this is so cool.
And so this was essay 2, just for example, you know, shorter essays, just to remind you, Sari, and for everyone else watching.
Oh yeah, this was the one that
and then here was the feedback in terms of this. And then, you know, here's the positive note and little fun. Overall, your essay demonstrates a strong grasp of the prompt and provides well-supported arguments. Keep up the good work. As a lighthearted joke related to your essay topic, did you hear about the claustrophobic World War II soldier? He couldn't serve in the trenches. But
oh my God, that's so cute. So this is saying, well done. Oh, yeah, this is nice. And then it like gives them either the confidence to turn it in or gives them a little, of course, I would love for them to get like a, what else to do, but we can train it.
Right. I see some questions. Okay, so let's pause for a second and see, you know, what questions we have. And pretty soon I'm going to turn everybody loose with a chatbot that I started building today that would allow you, everybody who's on here, to upload. If you have a rubric, by the way, handy, maybe see if you can find one on your computer that you could use. And if you have a student assessment, you're going to have a chance pretty soon to try it out on your own. And we'll do that after Sari's leaving. But let me stop sharing my screen for a second and just see what's happening in our chatbot to see what questions
Someone asked, okay, well, I want to start with the question about our jobs in jeopardy. And that's a really good question. So Rowana says, are we in jeopardy? Sorry if I said your name wrong. And then Alan wrote, we are only in jeopardy if we do not learn AI. AI will not replace us as teachers, but those who will know AI, how to use it will. What are your thoughts on that, Kelly?
I mean, you can't replace the human. You know, I think that these tools can be helpful, but you know, but look at how much work I've done to like help build some of this.
What's up, fellow educators? Happy Teacher Appreciation Week. We are excited to be with you tonight if you're joining us live.
Creepy me is back. Let's see if I can figure out how to get back to the.
Yeah, but I think that's it. Yeah, and I'm worried about that too. I even like when my students, you know, there's all the videos on YouTube they watch, and they're like, oh, we can just watch this educator on YouTube tonight. We don't need to review it in class. And I start thinking, well, what's my role, right? So it is about adapting to it, right?
Exactly. And you know, I think it's just it is moving very fast. And I think if we learned anything during the pandemic, you know, human beings and human interaction is absolutely key. And if there's anything that, you know, we need to make sure that, you know, we continue to do is teaching those critical thinking skills, teaching those civic skills, teaching those life skills. Like those are so critical. This can help us, but it is not going to replace us.
No, it can't. And I feel like the kids need the balance, and we need to, the kids are going to have this in their lives. So I think that we could either pretend it doesn't exist or learn about it so we can provide them with the tools and how to use it without it replacing them or stopping them from using their brains the way they should be. But we do need to adapt because it's there. It's not, it's out of, it's kind of like the cat's out of the bag. And the question is, if we, the point is, I think if we ignore the cat, it doesn't make it so that it's not out of the bag, because it is. So as teachers, I also feel conflicted because I've been teaching not as long as a lot of you, but 22 years felt like a lot until I mentioned that tonight. And I even have moments where I'm like, should I stop using computers in class because they're all on their screens, and should I go back to paper and pencils? And I think the answer is variety, right? Mm-hmm. There needs to be balance, right? And so AI can be a tool, but I think you still need to use the same, the old school practices as well. And that's my thoughts on it. But I don't have all the answers.
Yeah. And, they're still so new. I mean, I should have kept that slide from last time, but, the ChatGPT and OpenAI only has been in existence for 18 months now? I mean, it's still, and it's moving so fast. And you mentioned like Wikipedia early on, like there was a lot of trepidation about Wikipedia and all this stuff. So, I mean, if there's anything, media literacy and digital literacy skills are just very key, to how we're helping teachers. Yeah. So I know you're going to have to hop in a second. I am going to share, I'm putting this on my screen. So what I did, again, is create a free, again, this is Poe. And so what I did is created a chatbot in Poe. And I know people have asked me, how did you create stuff in Poe? And I can show that in a little bit. But this is your chance to try it out on your own. And what I'd love you to do after you've tried it out, if you're able to, is to submit kind of in your chat, what your thoughts and how did it work for you? Because this is a bot that I created today. I think it still needs a lot of TLC, a lot of updating in terms of what the prompt is. But essentially what I did, and let me go so I can show you the back end in terms of what I asked it to do. And Sari, if you have anything final you want to say before you go, because I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah, I'm just putting my social media handle in here. And I'm hoping that everyone, I'm Sari Beth Rose on social media. And I hope that everyone joins next time, because I'm really curious to hear, about, especially the teachers who are more like me, who are like just learning. If you use in the final weeks of school, I'm curious to see how it goes. And we'll have another one, I think June 4th. And what's the topic of that one?
That is going to be creating images. So how do you create fun images and use that, or other tools, graphics and stuff like that. But
I've been using graphics a lot for my own personal social media, and it's super cool. But I'm curious to hear how it's going with everyone when we come back next time. But I'm inspired. Like I really want to make this a bigger part of next year. But I also understand the hesitancy of people. And I think that's why I'm so happy that we set this up, because these conversations, I'm glad we're having these conversations now, 18 months into the technology, and not 2 years later and do the whole we should have really dealt with this when it came out and figured out how to use it in our classroom, right? So I'm really appreciative for Kelly and Share My Lesson and everyone on your team for really getting ahead of this. And I'm so happy to be a part of it. And I love being a learner more than a teacher. And I feel like I'm learning from you, Kelly, and you're a great teacher on this.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And I'm learning every day. I was laughing with one of my colleagues who's starting to learn a lot more about AI and education. And she's like, oh my gosh, my mind is spinning. And I'm like, yes, my mind has been spinning for, a few months now. It's, trying to think about how this works. But teachers need to be front and center in this. We need to make sure that we've got a voice in the process of AI. Yes. And it's a big focus for the AFT to make sure that there are guardrails put in place and that teachers are being consulted, and is not just, all right, here's this new tool, please use it. And so we want to make sure that that's not the case. And I also, frankly, want to make sure that there's a lot of tools, AI tools, that are going to ask you to pay money for. I'm paying some money for it just because I'm trying to test them out. But there's a lot of stuff that, if you have kind of the basic framework, you don't need to pay money for it. And so save yourself some money, because there's going to be companies that are going to try to, say, hey, I want to use this, or I want you to pay money on something that you could actually probably create on your own.
Yeah, and I think that like a lot of ed tech companies are creating these without consulting with teachers, and the more we know about it, the more we can get involved. So it doesn't threaten to replace us, which I don't think it can. But
yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna hop off. I'm sorry I have to leave a few minutes early, but you'll brief me on what everyone shares later.
Yeah.
And thanks so much to everyone who joined. This has been really interesting. And hope to see you on June 4th and keep the conversation going on this.
Yes, we'll see you then, and we'll be adding more webinars to the calendar. So hang in there.
Perfect.
All
Bye,
right,
everyone. Thanks so much.
See you soon.
See you soon.
Okay. So in our last little bit of time, and then Andy, I may ask you to read some of the questions that people are having in just a little bit. I wanted to show you what I created, this share SML assessment chatbot that I made public that you guys can try. Do I think that this is perfect? No, I do not. So I think that there's a lot of improvements that you could use. But the instructions that I've given it is to say, that we're asking you to upload a rubric. Start by uploading a rubric you will use for evaluation. Then you're going to upload, the prompt is to upload student essays, and it prompts you as the teacher to upload those essays or student work. And then it goes through an evaluation process, and it gives, again, 3 different categories in terms of the evaluation: score, summary. I'll list the scores for each rubric category. I'll offer 1 to 2 sentences of feedback alongside scores provided earlier. And then, give some overall evaluation in terms of the thing. And again, a final note to say, as the domain expert, please review my feedback carefully, meaning review that chatbots carefully. And, what you can do is say, hey, you didn't quite get it there. And so let's go take a look at what this looks like. And I'm hoping, I probably need to give you guys the link again. Let me share this link. Okay, I'm putting this in the chat. So this is the PO link that I had given you. So when you come to this PO link, again, this is all free. You can try it out. So you can go here and try out adding your own rubric. And so I was just giving you an example from Sari. I was trying to get my husband's rubrics in advance, but I didn't get them in time. But if you, or if you want to try sending me some of your own rubrics, I'm happy to play with it. You can send that to webinars@sharemylesson.com. And we're happy to have a dialogue to go back and forth. So you can go ahead and try this out. Again, this is in the free version. And so when you do it, so I'm just going to use Sari's example. I'll say, hi there. Here is my rubric. Now there was no rubric assigned to this. So let me, to this particular chat, that is. Add the rubric. And so now what I'll do is say, okay, here's my essay. And we've been using essay, why don't we go with essay 2 again? And so again, it's, giving the, feedback based on the rubric that I've provided within this chat that you guys now have access to. And then it's giving some feedback in terms of the potential improvements and strengths. But I think the key part is too, to say, like, you can have a dialogue back and forth with this chat. So, if you don't feel like this quite got it right, you can continue to try to train this chat bot to say, please let me know if this evaluation wasn't correct, or if you have additional feedback to provide. And then you can have it rerun that analysis of that lesson plan. So I don't know how much time we'll have. I'd love, I would love to hear any thoughts if anyone's tried it out using the chatbot. And then I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and give you guys, you still have that link, it's still live, and ask Andy what questions folks have.
Kelly, I think we got to a lot of them. We did see one question from Vivian that asked, can a video submission be graded by AI? I don't think I'm familiar with anything like that unless you are.
I am not familiar, but again, in the webinar that we did a few weeks back, we asked, and I'll put this up to put this in the chat box, what other topics are you interested in covering in the future? So, if there are topics that you're interested in, I know, a lot of folks were interested in like how you could use this to help with some IEPs or, with your special education students, or I think that there's a lot of benefits of like how to support your EL students. Drop those ideas, and Vivian, I will keep an eye out for tools that help grade videos as well. And again, I didn't get a chance, but I'd love to test out, grading papers that are handwritten. Because my husband's a 12th grade English teacher. He teaches IB English, and so a lot of his essays are handwritten. And I think a lot of teachers are, moving to handwritten too, just, because of the making sure that this has a student didn't just use like ChatGPT to help generate their essay.
Yeah, I think we also had a participant mention that they had written Spanish papers that they submitted to be graded, just handwritten ones, pictures of it, and it was able to grade that. One other question we had, though, from Edwin was, I don't know if we have time for this, or you can do it on the bot that Kelly provided everyone, but can you show what happens when a poor essay or response is submitted?
Yeah, that's a great question. Sari didn't give me any really poor essays as an example. I wish she had. So what I would suggest you do is use that Poe link that I gave you to try it on your own to see what the difference is with a good essay versus not a good essay. And I also see in the chat box that somebody says, how does AI know that the essay lacks nuance or insights? It's very vague feedback. So to that point, I think it's a really good one. This is where you have to keep going back and forth and iterating with chat and ChatGPT to say, okay, that was very vague. That there wasn't a lot of insight. What I would have said, and you can correct ChatGPT. Or ChatGPT. I'm just using ChatGPT. You can correct Poe. You can correct Claude. You can correct these different versions to say, that was vague. Here's how I would have graded it, because what you want to try to do is get these chatbots. You're training the chatbot again to use kind of your voice. I mean, you are again the expert, and getting them to use your voice to say, okay, this is what how I would have assessed this particular area. I think you missed the point, and so you can have that bit go back and forth. All right, Andy, are there any other questions?
That was all the questions we had. I think I had gotten rid of the other ones that we had answered during our discussion, but if anybody does have any other questions, we do have a couple more minutes before we have to close out. There are still a bunch of you in here, so please let us know if we can answer anything for you.
Yeah.
Mark has a question. Okay. Could you show us how to use your link in Poe to get the chatbot? I'm really new to this.
Oh, sure. In terms of, Mark, are you asking like how I created it? I'm just going to assume that might be your question, Andy. If that's not the answer or that's not the question, just let me know. I will quickly go here. So in terms of creating a chatbot, once you've created your Poe account, you can go and say, all right, I'm going to create a bot. You can give it a name and a handle. So I'm just going to say test 1, 2, 3. You can then decide, what is the base bot you want to do. So if you wanted it to be on ChatGPT 3.5, that would be here. All of the ones that are subscriber access say that. So you would have to be a paying account for Poe to access those. But there are a lot of different ones that you can do. So let's say I wanted to use ChatGPT. And one of the good things that are here as well is that there is this nice thing, view best practices for prompts, and it can kind of help you walk through how do you create prompts, like what goes into the prompts. Like you want it to be conversational. You need to be able to tell the user, the chatbot essentially, who you are. Like you are an expert teacher of how to, let's see here, how to make a bed. I'm just going to do something silly. And so you can kind of like give it some information. You will provide guidance and instructions on how a bed is made. You will use humor in your response. And so I made something very silly. Let's delete that. If you wanted to, let's say you had some documents you wanted to use to like help, let's say you had some guidance of like how you think beds should be made. You can add those documents here. I am here to help you make a bed. And then from here, if you want to allow it to suggest replies after it's done that, you can do that. And the other piece too is where if you want to make it publicly accessible, that's where you need to click here. So publicly accessible would say that you could essentially be able to share that bot with other people. And so I'm going to go ahead and say, great, created a bot. I'm not going to add a picture or bio. That's fine. Apparently that is already, we'll just add a few more numbers and see if this works. And I promise you guys I'm wrapping up in a second. And so I've created this bot. I'm here to help you make a bed. So I'm going to say, okay, tell me more. So never know what's going to pop up, but I'm like, here's a very long list of, keen learner, I see you. Well, making a bed is an art, my friend. It's not just about fluffing pillows and tucking in sheets. It's about creating a cozy sanctuary where dreams can happen. Let me guide you through the steps. And then it's walking me through all of the different steps of this stuff. And so, once you're here, your question, I think, was to say, how do I share it? The top right corner here where it says share, you can share this chatbot. So it's now linked, copied, and now I'm going to put this link in the chat box. I'm not going to keep this one live for too long, guys. It is rather silly. But now if you have a free account in Poe, you should be able to test out the instructions of how do you make a bed. So
Kelly, since we need to close, Joanne did have a question. I don't know if you have any insight, but she wanted to know what suggestions you have, if any, for parents and guardians that are totally against this topic even being discussed.
That is a really good question. One of the things that AFT is going to be coming out with fairly soon is some guardrail guidance on, how do you use, what are some, ethical concerns that we need to be using with AI. And I think that may be a good thing to be able to share with parents. Another thing that you should consider sharing is teachai.org is a partner of ours, and they have a ton of resources. I will put this in the chat. A ton of resources on policies and guidance toolkits and communities and webinars that are all about this. And I know that there's some resources in here in terms of like how you can really, how you can use and communicate with parents who might be resistant. And I understand it too. I mean, I think that, the school, I'm on the school board in Alexandria City, in Virginia, and, school systems, we're all still catching up to it in terms of what policies and guardrails we want to put around AI for educators and for schools. And so some of it is, I know New York City initially said there's going to be no AI, no ChatGPT initially when it came out. And then the superintendent had to kind of reverse course and say, okay, well, this is happening and we need to accept that it's happening, but we need to have some guardrails around it. And I think we're all kind of in that like weird phase right now. I said this in the last webinar when we were here 3 weeks ago, that it really reminds me back to March of 2020, when all of a sudden we're all virtual and we're just trying to figure it out. And I feel like we're very much there, with the exception of I see a lot more excitement in this. I wasn't necessarily excited about a pandemic and being, locked in my home with my very young kids and trying to work full time. And I think that I think that there's a lot of possibility and a lot of really important questions that we have to ask as we go through the process. So thank you for that question. I very much appreciate you guys. I hope if you haven't joined our AI community, please do so. And I hope you will join us for future webinars. I'm going to drop those links in before I close out in the chat. And if you would do me a huge favor and rate and review this webinar on Share My Lesson, it's really helpful for helping other teachers be able to find these resources. So I will drop those two in here. And again, say thank you to all of you. And again, happy Teacher Appreciation. For whatever reason, I can't say Appreciation Week. Maybe I need to dub my voice, Andy. I'm gonna say Happy Teacher Appreciation Week using my fake person.
It's the proper count. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you everybody. Have a good evening and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.